Welcome to the Black Sparrow Media Internet Broadcast Network.
You are listening to Linux in the Ham Shack. LHS is a podcast about Linux, open source, and amateur radio, for everyone. Now here are your hosts, Cheryl, W5MOO, Russ, K5TUX, and Bill, NE4RD.
Well, hello everybody and welcome. You have tuned in to episode number 594 of Linux in the Ham Shack, the most terrific amateur radio podcast on the internet. Thank you for joining us for our deep dive episode. We're glad you're here. And before we get into our topic for tonight, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. For the on assignment, Cheryl, W5MOO. I'm Russ, K5TUX.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD.
All right, so the usual suspects for our deep dive episode. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing the current hotness in distribution land, at least as I understand it, because I hear about very little else right now. And that is the latest goodness in Arch development called CachyOS. And I installed this on some bare metal. I noticed that when you go to the site and you go to the installation page, it says, it's best if you don't install this in a VM, which may have something to do with its advanced scheduling and stuff like that. We'll talk about that in a minute here, but it definitely wants you to put it on bare metal. I was, if I remember correctly, able to get this to launch using iVentoy and Pixie, but I think I ultimately did the install using a flash drive. It just made things more simple. So I have noticed as I go along through life that some of the ISOs that I have put up on iVentoy don't really boot that well. I know a couple of the later versions of Ubuntu, like 2504, they do weird things and don't boot properly through Pixie. So I don't know what's going on there. So I've kind of reverted to, I keep all that stuff out there. Windows always works if I want to install Windows, on something. The Pixie boot always works with that, but for some reason, some Linuxes are a little goofy, so I've reverted to using flash drives, and that's how I did this one too. But with that being said, let's talk a little bit about CachyOS, and I'm just going to read you what CachyOS says about themselves. It's designed to deliver lightning-fast speeds and stability, ensuring a smooth and enjoyable computing experience every time you use it. Whether you're a seasoned Linux user or just starting out, CachyOS is the ideal choice for those looking for a powerful, customizable, and blazingly fast operating system. CachyOS offers a variety of popular desktop environments. And I have to say, of all the distributions out there, this one has the longest list of available desktop environment options that you can choose from. And I'm pretty sure, I'm going to read this list, but I'm pretty sure this list is not exhaustive. I think there are more. The desktop environments you can select from include KDE Plasma, GNOME, XFCE, i3, Wavefire, LXQt, OpenBox, Cinnamon, Cosmic, Ukui, or UKUI, LXDE, Mate, Budgie, Qtile, Hyperland, and Sway. And as I said, I believe there are actually a couple more. And during the installation process, you can select from any of those. And not only that, it also allows you to select different bootloaders. I mean, how many distributions give you that? There are, 4 options for bootloaders, three other ones, and then Grub. So
yeah. Which one did you do?
I did Grub.
Oh, I did the System D one just because it said it was default.
I did Grub because I know Grub. So yeah. I mean, for options, this thing is killer for sure. And of course, it's Arch, so even better. So one of the features that it mentions and highlights on the webpage is one that I'll read some information on here because it's not something I'm particularly familiar with, but they do talk a lot about enhanced performance And one of the architectures they use that creates that advanced performance is called the Bohr scheduler. And the Bohr scheduler is the burst-oriented response enhancer. It's an enhanced version of EEVDF or EVDF. It's developed with the aim of maintaining schedulers' high performance while delivering resilient responsiveness to user input under as versatile load scenarios as possible. To achieve this, Bohr introduces a dimension of flexibility known as burstiness for each individual task, partially departing from CFS's inherent complete fairness principle. Burstiness refers to the score derived from the accumulated CPU time a task consumes after explicitly relinquishing it, either by entering sleep, IO wait, or yielding. This score represents a broad range of temporal characteristics spanning from nanoseconds to hundreds of seconds, varying across different tasks. Leveraging this burstiness metric, Bohr dynamically adjusts scheduling properties such as waits and delays for each task. Consequently, in systems experiencing diverse types of loads, Bohr prioritizes tasks requiring high responsiveness, thereby improving overall system responsiveness and enhancing the user experience. That's a long way to say it creates a prioritization table and assigns a priority to each task so that everything runs smoothly. I haven't seen this mentioned specifically in other distributions, and I don't know which ones leverage Bohr or EEVDF, but it could be all of them at this point. I don't know. So anyway, it's also says that kernels are compiled with optimized x86-64v3, x86-64v4, Zen 4 instructions, and LTO, which can be optimized for your CPU. So it knows what kind of processor you've got. So lots of extraneous detail there about the Bohr scheduler and Cachy, but ultimately it's just another Arch distribution. It has some differences from some of the other ones, like there are some differences with Manjaro, like with the software installer, because it leverages Paru instead of PA-Mac. And from the command line, Paru is similar, I guess. I mean, it works kind of similar, but it's also integrated into Octopi, which is the graphical user environment for doing software install. I've noticed that on Manjaro, I tend to do everything from the command line when I want to install something, and it's easier in Cachy to use Octopi, so I do. But as far as the installation is concerned, if you've ever installed a recent version of Arch, it looks very similar. The one difference that I noted right away is that the first time I actually booted up the thumb drive, I didn't know how to install it because I didn't realize the link to the installer was in the welcome screen, because other distributions don't do that. They put an icon on the desktop. So I booted up the first time, and then I had to go to the wiki and how do I install this? Because there's no installer, but there actually is an installer. So yeah, you just click on the link at the bottom middle of the welcome page. It launches the installer. It looks just like every other Arch installer these days. It walks you through selecting a keyboard layout, your time zone, your username, and all of that. And then it goes into the partitioner. And one thing that Cachy did that was a little different than some of the other distributions I've done is that it loads the flash drive into a RAM disk to do the installation from. That process actually took a little bit of time because it copied all the data off my flash disk, which of course is not super fast. But then once everything was in RAM, it went real fast. I don't know if it ultimately saved any time, but it was an interesting thing to do anyway. And the system I was installing this on is a quad-core i3 with 8 gigs of RAM, so it's not super current or super fast, but it does run very well, even with Plasma. It's also using the Intel chipset GPU, so really not fancy. But it was very good installation. I did mention I'm going to mention the partitioner because I did find out, or I did figure out, something that might be of use to people about the EFI partition. Most modern computers and modern operating systems expect to be booted from UEFI as opposed to legacy BIOS. And so there is a UEFI or UFI partition on your disk or on a disk on your system somewhere that contains boot information little like boot scripts and boot images for each distribution that's on the machine. And the BIOS can read this and see what's on the disk and give you your boot options and whatnot. Arch and presumably other distributions want this partition to be at least 500 megabytes. And I noticed that when Windows, like if you get a computer that has Windows on it by default, the EFI partition on a Windows machine is only 100 megabytes. So if you try and select that EFI partition to add Cachy to the bootloader, it will say, your EFI partition is not big enough. So there's a couple things you can do. You can make a second EFI partition, which I consider clunky and stupid. Or what I've been doing lately is I've been wiping this disk off, creating a 1 gig EFI partition, installing, all my Linux distributions. And then if I have to install Windows, not Linux, if I have to install Windows, then Windows will happily accept an EFI partition that already exists, regardless of its size, and it won't default to one that's only 100 megs. So I found that useful, and hopefully that helps somebody else out as well. Bill's probably like, I don't install Windows, so I don't care.
I was just thinking, it's like I just hit the erase disk button and just let it do auto whatever. So I didn't really care about what it did with partition. So you can still do that and not even have to even concern yourself with whatever it's doing for this.
Right, absolutely. I'm just saying if you start with a disk partition or a disk that has Windows on it already, you can't use the existing EFI partition because it's not big enough.
You should torch it anyway.
Well,
unless you're Cheryl, and then you keep it just in case your computer sucks.
No, I totally recommend that you wipe Windows off your machine, and then if you have to add it back, then do it that way. But whatever.
Just run Windows in a VM.
Well, that's true. You can run it in a VM. So after you get through all of that, it runs through the installation process, which on my machine went really quickly. I think it was only about 6 or 7 minutes for it to copy the files and then go into the reboot loop. So it did that and popped up, and I had a KDE Plasma desktop, which I logged into. And one thing I did notice is that it didn't, when Manjaro installs KDE Plasma, it gives you both X servers. It gives you X Wayland and X11. Cachy did not. It only gave me Wayland. I don't know if you noticed that same thing.
I didn't even pay attention to that because I haven't run into anything that has a problem with it yet. So
the only thing I found that has a problem with X Wayland so far is Prism Launcher.
Oh, yeah, I haven't got to that. Yeah, it's not normally my ham radio install stuff, but I can understand why that's in your list of stuff to do.
Right.
I was actually just looking at Flatpak. That was like the next thing I was actually kind of thinking about, just because I wanted to get QLab and stuff like that installed.
Yeah, I did not do anything with Flatpaks. I know Flatpak support is enabled by default, right? If I remember correctly, it's available, and you can get stuff from FlatHub.
It's not installed by default, I don't think. Let me just make sure.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? Because right after I installed Cachy, I tried Camarada, which is based on OpenSUSE, and Zipper and the GUI installer, whatever it is, for SUSE enables FlatHub. So,
okay, yeah. No, normally Arch does not play
nice with Flatpaks, yeah.
Just out of the box, most of them don't think you should do that because you have the AUR, and if you can't get it through the AUR, then you shouldn't get it. But there is no package for QLab in the AUR for sure that I can find. Or QLog, not QLab. I'm conflating two different words.
Two different applications, two completely different things. Yeah.
Yeah. QLab is a Mac OS application for running your lights and sound, right?
I did notice that I went through my normal first applications when I went to Octopi to install the stuff that I normally install, which often includes things like Prism Launcher. I do some of the ham radio apps, and I installed NetBird from the AUR, so that worked fine. But I went to install Google Chrome, and it couldn't find it. So I didn't know if that's been pulled from the AUR.
Yeah, since our last discussion, right?
Yeah, so I'm not sure that's in the AUR right now, but Cachy's Octopi version could not find it even after I enabled AUR support. So not sure what's going on there.
I mean,
obviously,
interesting.
could just be me.
I'm not using Octopi though. I'm just using Peru. So
oh, you're just doing Peru.
Yeah, which I didn't even realize there was Octopi on here. So that was like one of the big surprises. I looked at the so like they have a built-in application installer or whatever you want to call that. What is that called? Like the CachyOS package installation or installer or something like that. And that does not have access to AUR. So when I first went in to add stuff, which if you look on the welcome screen or the hello screen, they call it the CachyOS hello. They have the install apps button, which actually launches the CachyOS package installer. And it doesn't have the AUR stuff in there. And I'm like, oh, how do I do AUR stuff? And I'm like, oh, Peru. Okay, so I'm familiar with that. I'll just get on there and do Peru. But then you said Octopi, and I'm like, oh, I like Octopi so much better because you can flip back and forth. So you can look for stuff in the in the main repo first, and then kind of look for it in the AUR if you want to get it from the AUR. It has a little button, a little character. I don't even know what the icon is called, but like you click it and then it flips to the AUR side, so you can search the evil side. It's like the evil face. But if you use Peru, then you can see like where every package is coming from. It tells you right away whether it's from the repo or the AUR, which I kind of like too, unless you're doing something that's there's a ton of packages for. So I mean, if you just do like Peru space flat pack, there's 69 options. I'm sure this would be the same if you did Peru space Python 3 or something like that. There'd be a kabillion things to install. At that point, you probably want to use something like an Octopi that makes more sense from a user, a user interface or user experience perspective. But when you said Octopi, I was like, oh, cool, Octopi installed. I can run around with that. I remember using that with Garuda. Garuda uses Octopi.
Yeah, potentially. I'm pretty sure Manjaro uses Octopi as well. I just don't use it. I do everything with Pacman, or PA-Mac, rather. And if you go into the AUR, where the AUR is, and you enable the support, it shows you right there that Octopi uses Peru on the back end. So,
yeah. And Peru is great because it's written in Rust, and that keeps you close to the crustaceans.
Sure.
Instead of using something like Yay or something like that, or Yum. Is it Yum or Yay? I can't remember.
Yeah, Yay is one for sure that has access to the AURs. When I installed that, to sidetrack briefly, when I installed the OpenSUSE version, because it's OpenSUSE Leap 15.6 or whatever, that's behind Camerata, and so I was like trying all the RPM stuff that I remembered, like RPM and DNF and blah, blah, blah. None of those were working. It apparently uses something called Zipper. It's like,
Zipper.
What the hell is Zipper? ZYPPER is apparently the new OpenSUSE hotness, so whatever.
Interesting. This is exactly why it's kind of good to kind of do distro hopping, because you can see what they're doing. Especially with package management, which is always evolving and stuff like that. And it's always kind of interesting to see what works where and what the learning curve to using those tools are. So I think it's always a fun kind of exercise to play around.
Yeah, I also didn't hate Camerata. It uses GNOME sort of in Unity format, and I appreciate that. Of course, you can customize it the way you want, but overall, it was fine. It's just, it's a RPM based distro and it uses GNOME, so whatever. I'll stick to what I like for now, which is, of course, Arch and KDE. Let's see, where am I in my list of stuff here? Oh, we forgot about somewhere in the middle of the installation procedure. It does ask if you want a Office suite, and it gives you two options. Well, it gives you three options, one of which is none. One of which is LibreOffice, and the other one is FreeOffice, which I guess I did install FreeOffice once, and it reminds me of something that's like older. I don't know. I think it's not really supposed to be a copy of LibreOffice. It's more like
the Sun version, like the Star Office that was around for a while.
No, it's not even like that. It's like its own thing. It's not very good. Well, it's probably fine. It's just not what I think of when I think of an Office suite right now, which is LibreOffice. So it's just different. I've heard that other people are kind of glomming on and liking FreeOffice lately, but I haven't had enough time to play with it to even try it. So it definitely looks different. So if that's something you want to play around with, feel free. But we're not doing a deep dive on FreeOffice right now. So at least I'm assuming it's called FreeOffice. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, if you want us to do deep dives on Office suites for Linux, we can definitely add that as one of our future topics. Just send us some feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Feedback always welcome.
So you were saying, what did you do with Prism Launcher? How did you install that? That you kind of got into that, but then we didn't really get the full details of that.
I did not install Prism Launcher on Cachy because I knew it wasn't going to work because it only has X-Wayland. So
so you got an error when you ran it or something? Or I'm just kind of wondering whether I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah, when I tried to run Prism Launcher under KDE Plasma Wayland on my Manjaro boxes, yeah, it does not launch. It has to. I don't think it can access the compositors and stuff in Wayland. It needed X11.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm just going to install it while we're talking, just because I'm interested.
Well, and that was in the days when Prism Launcher was still built on Qt 5. Now that it's Qt 6, they may have fixed that. I don't know. But anyway, while you're figuring out if Prism Launcher runs under Wayland, I will go on to the next thing, which is, okay, I put in here that software installation from all sources is seamless, and the searches are very good. I will say that it's a lot easier to find stuff if you use Octopi than Peru, because like you said, when you Peru for something, you can get 100 different options to pick from. Octopi is a lot easier to see the thing you really want. And of course, it walks you through like the sub-dependencies or the optional dependencies and helps you select from those which ones you should choose when you install software. Oh, and this machine also uses OBS Studio, so that's another thing I installed with Octopi, and that went just fine. I'll be able to record my things and do my streaming and all of that. Let's see, I had my usual customization. So when I customized the machine at first, I installed all of my custom wallpapers. I put on the Sweet KDE theme and the Beauty Line icon pack, and I think I have Bill using Beauty Line now. So,
oh yeah, definitely using the Beauty Line.
Yeah, the other one's the what was the one before that we always used?
Candy.
Candy icons. Still good, but Beauty Line's just better. So I got all of those set up, got my lock screen images all working. Really didn't have to do much else except for customize the taskbar because I have multiple desktops and I have it sort of pop up like the taskbar does, or the dock rather, on macOS. I have it set up very similar to that because I like that kind of feel to it, and with the auto hiding and such. And that whole setup took me 30 to 35 minutes, I think, including setting up and getting connected to the Mesh VPN and everything else. A totally working system, including my support for OBS, some ham radio apps, and all that. And I also know that because it's an Arch-based system and has access to the AUR, that installing ham radio packages will be dirt simple. Although this particular machine that I'm testing on will not be used for ham radio use. I have a Manjaro machine for that. But I know it would be easy to do, could easily be put in place as a Ham Shack computer. I threw in here that I would give it a 4.8 Linux in the Ham Shack readiness score because it'd be really easy to set it up as a Shack PC. And of course, you could make it very lightweight and very fast, especially for portable operation on a lighter weight notebook or something like that, because you can select a lightweight or a tiling, window manager. And because of its scheduling efficiencies, it could be a very quick machine with not very robust hardware. So on the whole, I really dig Cachy. I'm going to leave it in place on this machine. I was thinking about putting another partition on it with Manjaro, but that seemed kind of pointless because it'd just be two Arch-based systems, and Cachy looks like it's going to perform just fine. So I'm going to leave it. So what other things do we need to talk about? What add-ons do you have, and have you tried to run Prism Launcher under Wayland?
I'm currently installing the latest snapshot, 121.9 pre-1, just to see. It's almost to the point where it can run it. Let's see. It's going now, so we'll see if it runs at all. And there we go. Continue, and I'm going to be spawning some copper golems here, so it works fine. No problems. So I installed the Prism Launcher from the actual repo because I have it in the repo. And yes, and it spawned me an area with no trees. Hello, Minecraft. You suck. Anyway. Yeah, no, wow, it actually runs pretty well on this machine that I have here for demo, which you'll see in a video probably forthcoming. I went through some permutations of machines to run the videos with, and I decided, like you said, some of these things don't run in VMs very well. You can only get so far with that, and I wanted to kind of show actually connected to real hardware and an antenna and a radio and everything else. So, and I was trying to play around with some of my other machines, and then I said, "Oh wait, I have a bunch of these laptops just sitting around, waiting to have Linux installed on them." So yeah, this one will be in the next video, and you'll be able to see a little bit more of our good friend here, CachyOS. And yeah, like you said, I would definitely highly recommend Octopi over Peru, just because it would take away some of the noise that you're going to see. You do have to kind of get used to how Octopi handles the switch between the repo and the AUR. It doesn't show both at the same time, where Peru will show everything all at once. And it's really up to you to decide where you want your package to come from. I mean, there's no real rule that says you have to take it from the repo. I think the one thing that I mentioned in the recording so far for the video is that you tend to want to stay away, if you're in the AUR, stay away from the Git packages, just because they're going to get updated more frequently, because they're probably sitting on the master branch or the main branch or whatever they call it these days on the repo. And anytime someone does a commit or a pull request and it gets merged in, yeah, you'll basically have to update your software, which in some projects that are heavily maintained, that might be very often, even daily, in which case you can actually break software that you're currently using, because not all merge requests are equal. So
on that machine that you've installed on, what's the video chipset?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll give you the stats here, because I knew you were going to ask that, and I think I left one screen open that had that on there. No, I didn't, because I'm stupid. There we go.
Well, the only reason I ask is because the issue I had was on that Victus machine that has the weirdness with the fact that it has an AMD and an NVIDIA card in there, and that might have been part of the issue with Wayland, but
possibly. So this is a Lenovo laptop. I don't know which one, Slim 6 or something like that, Slim 3, I don't know. A Slim 5, actually. IdeaPad Slim 5. So this is a blue laptop from Lenovo. It has a CPU is an AMD Ryzen 5 7530U, 12 core. So there's 12 threads. So probably was that 6 core. The GPU is integrated, so it has the AMD Barcelo GPU in it. So it doesn't have a fancy discrete graphics or anything else that I can tell based upon the screen. And I'm running pure Wayland on this, so it's not running X Wayland or anything else like that.
Okay, well, that might be part of the issue. I might try switching over my desktop and just booting into the Wayland compositor instead of X11 and seeing if Prism Launcher still actually works. It'd be interesting to find out. But like I said on my Manjaro installs, I had the option of running both. It installed both servers by default, and I can switch between them. So I've just been hanging on X11 because I know it works. But I guess at this point, it would probably be useful to know if Wayland also works.
Yeah, I'm literally still on my first login of this, so it's like I have not done anything from the base install. Besides, I think I have FLRig. I installed that, and I installed SDR++ Brown. Just to ensure that I plugged in the SDR, that ran just fine. And And then while we're talking it on the podcast, I installed HTOP because I wanted to see HTOP because it doesn't have that installed by default. And I installed Prism Launcher and logged my account in and started Minecraft. So that all works quite spectacularly. So I don't know. This could be a permanent addition to this particular laptop. I kind of like it so far. It's definitely zippy. I enjoyed the install. The install went pretty quick. Like you said, it was about 6 or 7 minutes. It wasn't terribly long. This does have an SSD in it. I'm assuming your system had one. Was it SSD or magnetic?
SSD.
Yeah. So yeah, probably about the same. This is got 16 gigs of RAM, 500 gig SSD. So not like the best of the best kind of stuff. I think it shares its memory with the video card because I'm only seeing 13.5 gig reported for memory. So I'm assuming the rest is assigned to the GPU chipset.
So CachyOS, definitely a win in my book. Sounds like Bill's kind of on board as well. And you'll be seeing a YouTube video as Bill walks through the install of CachyOS on his laptop as well. So check out the YouTube channel for that when that comes out.
Yeah, and it kind of has that cool thing too. Like, I don't know if every system has that. When you don't have anything sort of on the desktop, you can actually just start typing. So, like, I can't on my machine, but like, if I just on the desktop, you could actually just start typing, and then it kind of brings up like a search thing, like almost like a spotlight kind of vibe to it. So, if you were just looking at the desktop, you could type in like octopi or something like that. Or just start typing O, and then all of a sudden on the desktop, I see a drop down appear from the top that shows me everything with applications and stuff like that with O in it. So, like in theory, you could just kind of have it as your start menu without even using the super key if you're not like in a focused window. So I thought that was kind of a nice touch. I haven't seen that before. Maybe that's pretty common with KDE. I don't really use KDE on a daily basis, so I don't know. That seemed kind of cool to me that I just happened to run across that by accident.
Yeah, I haven't tried that because I don't just normally type in the desktop. So it's kind of interesting that you found it by accident, and I'm going to go try it on purpose and see if it works for me. So.
Yeah, it's like new hacks, right? I kind of like it. Yeah. Yeah, I like the desktop too because it's not like your normal KDE like generic desktop that they give you. It's quite pleasing. It's kind of reminiscent of like Cinnamon or something like that, even XFCE with the current layout and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people would be kind of happy with this sort of generic KDE setup. It doesn't include a lot of like gobbledygook and stuff like that sometimes is associated with the KDE installs.
Yeah, I found the whole procedure kind of clean too, from boot all the way to initial use. So
yeah, no garbage is installed either, so you don't have to like fresh Office or whatever is not there, and if you don't use it for spreadsheets and Word documents, you don't need all that garbage. So it's very clean. It's very very tight install, no bloat whatsoever.
No, and lots of options to choose from, which you don't get in other installers and stuff. I mean, it's not like you can't add, a tiling window manager to an installed operating system, but this gives you all of your choices up front, which is kind of nice. All right. Well, I think that takes us down to the end of the topic for tonight. CachyOS. We here at Linux in the Ham Shack highly recommend it. Even for someone who's coming to a distribution who doesn't necessarily use Arch, it's really easy to get into. The software manager works really well, and you can customize it to whatever look and feel you're happy with. So whatever you plan to do with your machine, whether it's for Ham Shack use or something else, I'm going to give a thumbs up on CachyOS, and I think based on Bill's comments, he would do the same.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, it does require a little bit more user knowledge, I think. It's not quite as friendly. Or it's easy to kind of go in like a Debian-based system that you can just grab like all the ham radio packages with the sudo apt to install ham radio -star. There's not that, but you don't need all that either. That's kind of a cool gimmicky thing. But if you're wanting to install very specific apps to do very specific things like WSJTX, FLDigi, FLRig, HamLib, JTDX, JS8 call, stuff like that you know you want to install because you want to do these activities, QSS TV, QTEL for Echolink and stuff like that. I think it's totally competent. And like I say, I'm doing a video right now. I'm kind of installing all the stuff that I would install and to kind of get to this state. And I see Russ here has put an LHS readiness score of 4.8. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be, probably good. You definitely can get everything you need installed quite easily. Like I say, I've already done like an SDR application, which is one that we just had a deep dive about not too long ago, SDR++ Brown. So yeah, it's definitely going to be there. It's definitely going to show pretty well. Hopefully the video does it justice, but for sure, I think we've definitely hit a lot of the points here that show how well this operating system would be for a ham shack computer or just a general use computer.
Absolutely. And of course, a link to where you can get CachyOS and find all the information about it, including the wiki and the installation procedures and all that will be in the show notes. So check that out if you want to try it out. And of course, you can just type CachyOS into your favorite Google browser or AI bot, and it will bring up where you can find it. So AI bots and search engines are almost the same thing anymore. So.
Yeah, they're totally integrated. And it's Cachy, CACHYOS, not CASH, in case you're wondering out there.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, that brings us down to the end of the topic for tonight. So let's move on to our announcements and feedback. We do actually have some feedback, and a lot of this feedback is on apparently the world's most favorite video on your Commodore OS Vision 3.
This is why I needed new videos. It's like, please, not that video. Come on. I did it in a hotel room and it is left channel only. Like, I'm expecting more complaints than comments.
Well, anyway, let's start off with a comment on Mastodon from Jeff, who commented about the fact I did a push of like the last 7 episodes up onto social media because I was lagging way behind.
Oh, I saw that.
And, yeah. So after I flooded all the social medias with all of our last episodes, I got a comment from Jeff who actually liked and boosted a lot of the stuff that I posted. So obviously he wasn't being negative in this comment, but he said these AI radio pics cracked me up, and they do to me too, because there's still a lot of problems with AI photo generation, and there's lots of quirkiness. So if you I freely admit that I use AI photo generator for the cover art for the episodes because I like it and I find it handy and it's easy to do. And some of the stuff that it comes up with is really kind of cool. But if you look closely at any of the images, you will see all kinds of oddities and weirdness and stuff that like doesn't exist in real life. So yeah, I can see why it would be amusing. But thanks also for the comment. At least you're paying attention over there on Mastodon. So thanks, Jeff, for that. And I'll let Bill handle all these ones on his video on Commodore OS 3. So because it's the bestest video ever.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the video that gets us monetized eventually. Who knows? So these are all comments on the Commodore OS Vision 3 video that I did right before Hamvention. The first comment is from Dr. Socrates 4413, and that person says, "Seems very fat and bloated at 32 gigabit. Is this just not emulators running on MX Linux? I shall pass." Okay, well, yeah, I passed as well, so it's fine. It's definitely a gimmicky OS, and it's kind of an interesting, quirky distribution. And I did it just because it is what it is. And accept it. That's fine. The next comment comes from CBM Doom World. CBM _ Doom World. I'm sure everybody follows this person, so I wanted to get it right. They say, oh, nice. Now I kind of want to look for more videos about SDR packet and SSTV on Linux. That's right. I actually got stuff to work on that video, and this interested the person on running some applications on Linux. Well, hopefully we can get them some more videos here that we can show them some of these applications working on Linux and actually plugged into a radio, which has been my goal here. So, sorry. The next comment comes from Raul Mures, 1389. I'm sure that's right. And they say, I am really happy. The COS Vision project has finally been continued since I had the old version 9 installed in 2012 to an old laptop, and it was working pretty fine. Just downloaded the grand image, about 37.81 gigabit. That's very specific. And next, I will create an installation USB stick with a Rufus to bring that OS to a mini desktop PC mounted to my 42-inch monitor using as a TV. Let the games begin, ... exclamation point. Yes, very good, Raul. We you should probably make a video of that. That sounds pretty cool. Mine was not so cool. Actually, the same laptop that I'm doing the CachyOS install is the one that I had at Hamvention demoing, I think, Linux Mate, Ubuntu Mate, and also did the this particular video, the Commodore OS Vision 3 video. So I'm reusing the same hardware over and over again because that's what I like to do, punish it completely. But yeah, thanks a lot for the comments on the videos, and we're working on some more. I was going to do a Sparky Linux 8 one, but I just realized that for some reason it does not like the Wi-Fi card on my Lenovo. So I think that should be a special video on, like, I have a laptop and the Wi-Fi doesn't work out of the box. What do I do? So that might be a very special video on how to handle getting drivers for your random ass Wi-Fi card that the manufacturer had to install and left you with, and some particular OSs do not have the drivers for them. So, I'm looking at you, B43, Broad 43 on your old Apple 2011 Mac Minis. Anyway, that was it for the comments. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I think the B42 and B43 Broadcom chipsets have always been problematic. So not surprised to see that they still are.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this one has in it, but it's surprising because the CachyOS had no problem with it, but Sparky Linux did not have the driver, which I was like pretty amazed for. I was like, oh, really? It can't be that obscure. But I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I don't even know what this particular one has in it. I'll have to look. It's probably some AMD thing, or they use a lot of Realtek and stuff like that. So I'm surprised that it's not in the baseline of Debian. So yeah,
I didn't even check the kernel version. What you've got your CachyOS NeoFX
6.16. 6.16.
Yep. So very current.
Yeah, very.
All right, very good. Well, that brings us down to the end of the feedback. We do have the announcement. Please help support the show if you're able to by subscribing over on Patreon, PayPal, buying some merchandise, and, of course, subscribing to the YouTube channel, which may someday be monetized. Who knows? Hopefully before the end of the world, per se.
Yeah, we're about 680 hours away from that, so we need a lot more watch time.
Yep. So watch videos. Well, Bill's putting out videos, so there'll be more to watch.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as our new subscribers, supporters, and live participants, we had nobody subscribed to the show for money, but we did have a free Patreon. Paul subscribed. Thanks for that. Nobody joined us over on Twitter or YouTube. On Discord, we had James and Dr. Volt sign up, so welcome. Over on Mastodon, we had B-Lug, which is actually a BOS lug somewhere in the world. And I find it hard to believe there's still such a thing, but okay. Are there enough people using BOS to have a lug?
I don't think so.
Well, whatever. They're over on Mastodon, so welcome. And please tell us more about BOS. We'll have you on the show. I haven't talked about or even thought about BOS for, 10 years at least. So I'd be interested in hearing more about it. And Haiku, too. If anybody wants to come talk about Haiku, I'd be interested.
Isn't it the same thing?
I think it is now. Didn't one diverge from the other at some point or merge with the other?
I think Haiku is like what BOS went to. Like it was kind of like the fork because BOS sort of died, and then Haiku was out, and then I don't know really what happened afterwards.
Well, see, that's that's why we need somebody to come on and tell us all about what's going on with BOS and Haiku. So,
yes.
With that, there's also RXZ, who joined us on Mastodon, IW0RMO, or IWRMO, which is awesome. I love that call sign. And there's also Echo Charlie 4, Delta Papa Charlie, EC4 DPC, joined us over on Mastodon and Blue Sky. We had W4NED. Welcome. We did have some merchandise sales. We had a couple of people buy some USB sticks. The problem is the USB sticks that are available on the website aren't currently available. Those are the old 16 gigabit ones. I have a bunch new 32 gigabyte ones that I would happily send to people. But what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to refund the purchases that have been made. There have been 2 of them, because I don't have these USB sticks printed yet. I'm hopefully going to do that in the next week or 2, get them printed. And also, the Stripe account and the thing with WooCommerce charges way too much for shipping. They charge like $11 to ship a USB stick, which is ridiculous. So I think I'm going to get to these folks, refund their money, and have them send me like just straight up $10 some other way. And then I will get them the USB sticks at basically cost, because I mean, it's going to cost like a postage stamp to ship them. So I don't want people to be overcharged for this stuff. So I'll be getting with those folks, but thanks anyway for the purchases. You will be getting them. It's just going to be a little bit of a delay, and I will make sure that your money comes back to you and that you get them at a reasonable price and a reasonable shipping rate. And also, we didn't have anybody join the mailing list this time around, but in the live chat, we had some folks. We had Darren, VK6EK, Don, KB2YSI, Jared, W7AQB, and Mark Bravo. Just Mark B, actually. But anyway, that brings us down to the end of the show. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks for the folks who were in the live chat tonight. We really appreciate you being here. And we hope you will join us for our next episode, which will be Short Topics in a week's time, or actually a little bit less than a week's time as of the recording of this episode. And in the meantime, have a great week. Hope everything's good for you all. Please subscribe and help us out financially if you can. Otherwise, just tell your friends about the show and listen, and we'll do another one, and hopefully dozens and hundreds more after this one. So with that, we'll go ahead and sign off for episode number 594 of Linux in the Ham Shack. And for the On Assignment Cheryl, W5MOO, I'm Russ, K5TUX.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD73.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Linux in the Ham Shack. LHS is a community-sponsored podcast. Live recordings are Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Central Time. Our homepage can be found at lhspodcast.info. You can support the podcast via Patreon at patreon.com/LHS podcast. We're also on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Mastodon. Contact us via email at info@lhspodcast.info or via voicemail at 190954777469. That's 1909 LHS show. We also have merch. So until next we meet, remember to always heed your hedonism.